we're going to jump into some rapid fire now. What do you say, Jess? You ready?
Oh, I'm ready, baby. And the women's basketball team is up 2 with 15 seconds left.
Oh, boy. They're going to – all I see is referees at the review table.
Oh, boy.
That worries me just a skosh. Let's see. What are they trying to review here? Oh, they're trying to review a foul, maybe? I'm not even sure what they're reviewing, if I'm being honest. Okay. They were reviewing who fouled. So Notre Dame's going to go to the line with 10.8 seconds to go, up 2. So a chance to seal it, frankly. And Maddie Westbeld's at the line. So I think you got a pretty good chance.
Also, I think something interesting, Vince, if Riley Leonard comes here, it's Riley Leonard versus his ex-coach week 1.
Well, we're going to talk about that. Somebody didn't read the questions.
I always read the questions, Vince. What are you talking about?
All right, here we go. Rapid fire style. So, as we've been talking about the entire time, the rumors are rampant that Duke quarterback Riley Leonard is the top choice for Notre Dame in the transfer portal now that he's officially in. So, scale of 1 to 10, your excitement level over Leonard as the possible starter in 2024.
So, this is a very, very tough question, and that's why you asked me the question. I would have to put this – how about this? I was more excited for Sam Hartman than I would be for Riley Leonard. I'll point blank say that. I would be at an overall 8 or 9 excited if Riley Leonard comes in and there is a offense that is tailored around his skill sets of being a dual threat quarterback, meaning a lot of RPO looks, a lot of getting the quarterback on the perimeter for some runs, utilizing your running backs as well, getting into a power run game, and utilizing some of your best wide receivers, whether that be Rico Flores, Braylon James, Jordan Faison, whoever it is. I'm all for and excited for an offense that is all around cohesive. Everyone is working off each other's skills and talents. And so if that's the case, again, I would be, at 8 or 9 excited, but I would be lying if I said I was more excited than I was for Sam Hartman last year. Yeah, I think he's an upgraded Ian Book. I think might be the best comparison I have at the end of the day.
So where did you put it? 1 to 10. Where'd you put it?
I put it at 8.
Okay. I'm like a 6 or a 7 right now. I think he's the best quarterback out there for Notre Dame. I do think that. And they're going to shoot their shot at the best guy that's in the portal. And that's exactly what you should do. I really don't have a problem with that. I really don't. So, is he going to come to Notre Dame? That still remains to be seen. We don't know. As somebody pointed out, he does have I was thinking about the women's basketball team that just won. He does have a no contact attached to his transfer, so he knows where he's going to go, or at the very least, he can contact the schools that he wants to contact, right? I've seen Auburn, I've seen Notre Dame, I've seen Texas A&M. Obviously, that's where his head coach is going. And so, I'm like a 6, 7. I need to go back and I need to watch some of his film from, sophomore year when he was 100% healthy. I want to see it. I've been told everybody's talking about how he can't throw. His arm is a noodle, all these things. But, go watch his sophomore film. Let's see if that's actually true. I think a lot of people are hanging on to that narrative. So I need to go see that for myself. I want to go check it out. So I'm like a 6 or a 7. After I dive in, it's going to go up or down. That's for sure. And so let's see. I do not think, now I want to be clear here. I do not think that Notre Dame is stunting the growth of the quarterback room by doing this. I really do not think that. This is a different situation than bringing in Sam Hartman when you had Tyler Buckner and you had Drew Pine, who were at the middle to end of their careers, and you've got Kenny Minchie and you've got Steve Angeli that are at the beginning of their careers, and CJ Carr at the beginning of their career. It's a completely different scenario. The talent level is different. The injury history is different. Like, all of those things are different in this particular scenario. So I'm very much a 6 or a 7 here, and with the possibility of moving up or down once I check it in.
That's kind of how I feel too. Like on a preliminary stage, I
Yeah.
feel very confident around a 7 right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. All right. Next question. It is blank that Riley Leonard could face off against his old coach, Mike Elko, in game 1 of 2024.
That's what I like to call a little bit of poetic justice, Vince, because
Yeah.
like what are the odds that, your head coach goes to a big time SEC program and now also you transfer and go to one of the, biggest brands and well-known programs in the history of, the sport, and then you're set to make your debut against each other essentially the first game of the season. So it's funny how that always happens. And it's just like when these it feels like every time someone is traded, they always, their first game is always against the team that they were just with, or like anytime there's a big offseason move or anytime there's any drama, it always feels like it comes back to playing against the team that you were once with. So
Yeah.
it's funny how sports work out that way.
Yeah, it is. That's a really good one. It's amazing, frankly, that is going to end up being the case because, a month ago, we're all talking about going down with a first-year starter playing against Jimbo and, all these different things down at Texas A&M. Now, Jimbo's gone, so he's making a ton of money, not doing anything. They got a brand new head coach. Notre Dame is going to have a brand new quarterback, potentially one that has a bunch of starts under his belt. And so, yeah, this is going to be an interesting turn of events for Notre Dame if that ends up being the case. So it is pretty awesome how just the college football world evolves and revolves for that matter. So
Got to keep up.
Yeah, should be very, very interesting in that regard.
You know what
All
I'm
right.
mad about, Vince?
Yeah, what do you got?
I wanted to put so much money on Notre Dame women's basketball to win after being down 16 at halftime, or at least cover the spread. I think it's fraudulent that FanDuel had those locked for some reason. It's like
did they really?
Yeah, I kept checking.
You were feeling the Irish, huh? You were feeling the comeback?
I was looking at, some little bit of the stats, and I was like, man, they're just playing really bad right now. Just got to get into a groove here. And I definitely knew that. Okay, I would be lying if I said I thought they were going to win. I definitely didn't think they would lose by 16 points like they were down at one point.
I was when it was the third quarter and they were down by double digits plus. I was, I wasn't really feeling
it's gonna be a nice plane ride home.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a question I do want to get in here since we're doing rapid fire. TJS, when is National Signing Day? And are Brian, Ryan, Sean, and Vince doing a show? So let me see here. National Signing Day 2023. Yeah, that's not right. Let's see. I'm not sure. I know it's in December. I know it's coming up. I am not sure exactly when National Signing Day is. I will not be on the show because I have a day job. But I believe Brian and Ryan will definitely be doing a show. And I bet you Sean jumps in and out every now and again. So I'll have to get back to you, TJ, on when that show is going to take place. But last year they did like an 8-hour show. I mean, it was crazy. They were on all day. They were talking about the recruits. They actually had Faison on the show, and who knew that, he was going to be the guy who he was this year for the offense, but Irish Breakdown knew. That's why he was on the show. But they had a couple guys on, and they did a couple of different things. So Decaf says it's December 20th, and so does Michael. So we're going to go with it. So December 20th is signing day, and that is a Wednesday, right in the middle of the week. And so, yeah, I will definitely not be on that show, but I know the guys are going to have a show for sure. No doubt about that.
Hopefully some early Christmas presents. Am I right?
Yeah. And it's funny the way things are going, man. I don't know if there's going to be flips and, things like that. It's just different that, nowadays than it has been in the past, but you never know. You never know. We'll see how it goes. We'll go. All right. Wrong tab. Here we go. Third question. I believe the number right now is at 5 for transfers. Okay. Or transfer portal guys. So over under 5.5 additional transfer portal announcements.
I'm going to take the under on this one. Yeah, I think that you might get. I'm really having a hard time seeing defensively. I think that a linebacker will be gone. Offensively, I think if Leonard comes in, there's a potential of another quarterback to be gone. I think that in terms of wide receiver and running back, that those are pretty solid. Offensive line, you don't really see a whole bunch of offensive line portal transfers. I thought the Zeke Correll one was actually pretty interesting. Did not see that one ultimately coming. Defensively, I think you could see some amongst the defensive line still. I think the secondary is pretty solid. So, I mean, to me, I'm looking at like a 3 or 4 number. I don't necessarily see it hitting 6. So I'll go with the under.
You are an optimistic lad, Jesse Stiers. I think the number hits the over. I think there'll be some surprises for all of us, like some prizes that we weren't necessarily betting on. I just think it's going to be over. I'm going to be pessimistic about it. I think you're going to see some guys that are going to surprise you, and then you're also going to see some guys that weren't playing that could transfer out. You know, looking for more playing time and things like that. And of course, this does not include guys that are leaving for the draft. These are straight transfer portal guys. That's what we're talking about. But yeah, I think there's going to be more than that. I just think that's the world we live in, man. And they're going to have to do if I was kind of crunching the numbers last night with Brian, and there's going to have to be about 15 or 20 guys that are going to have to leave the program in some form or fashion in order for them to get to the number that they need to be in for next fall.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
So if it's not a transfer portal, it's hey, you might want
to. And then it turns into a transfer portal situation. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so I think the number is going to be over, but it'd be great if it wasn't. That would be true. It'd be great if it wasn't. All right, let's jump to the NFL. My favorite NFL player of all time. Let's talk about him. It is blank that Aaron Rodgers is back at practice for the New York Jets.
It's a myth. Sarcastic. It's a myth that he's back after 3 months post Achilles, Vincent. I say it's a myth because it's a myth that he tore his Achilles. There's no way that Aaron Rodgers fully tore his Achilles and is already back and practicing.
Bingo.
At this stage. Like, Vince, I have seen guys who have torn their Achilles. They're on a scooter with their ankle still wrapped after 3 months. There is just no way that Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles. And so to me, the better question is, what is Aaron Rodgers getting at? Is Aaron Rodgers trying to prove that he can beat science? Is Aaron Rodgers trying to embellish? And so it's this great comeback story because the Jets aren't horrible. That's a thing that the people fail to realize. Like the Jets are like 4-6, I think. But I mean, if you get Aaron Rodgers back, you could run the table as a wild card team. That defense is still really solid. Again, it's mythical that he's back at this point. There is something that we are not being told because quite simply, I don't care what kind of new surgeries are out there. You're not fully recovering from an Achilles tear in 3 to 4 months.
Right. I completely agree with that. Like, it's amazing that he's back if you think that he actually tore it, which I don't. I think it was a little bit of a media push. And I think that, you said something about, does he want to beat science and all, yeah, he does.
He's that guy.
Yes. I mean,
he's always got a point to prove.
Yes. He called Travis Kelce Mr. Pfizer because he was, repping the shot and all that, of course he wants to prove people wrong. So yes, there is no chance that he tore it. Or if he did, it was like an itsy little itty bitty tear. And here we go. Somebody with actual science behind it. Carl Biscontini. I love that name, by the way. Carl says, I'm a physical therapist. The only way that he had a partial tear, but very, very small tear, still talking 6 months at the earliest. Boom. But Aaron Rodgers is special. So that's probably, he's got a special body made from leaves and juice and all that stuff. So
after his darkness retreat.
Oh boy, don't even get me started. And I was being very sarcastic when I said that he was my favorite player in the NFL.
Your Bears pulled it out the other night, Vince. I didn't think it was going to happen.
I'm a little upset about it. I believe they won without scoring a touchdown.
They
and
did.
As big a fan as I am of kickers in the kicking game, I want the Bears to lose at this
More
point.
draft stock, baby.
They're not going to make the playoff. So why are you winning? They did everything they could not to win. I mean, you know what I mean? Like they did everything they could not to win, and yet they still won. It's like, come on, fellas. Come on. But the Panthers lost, so I guess that's all that matters since they have the Panthers pick. But still, be nice to have 2 top 5 picks. That'd be nice. All right. We can do a whole show on this last question, Jesse, but I'm going to ask it to you anyway. Last night, they came out with the college football rankings, second to last one of the season. So, buy or sell the most recent college football rankings of the top teams. Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Michigan. Number 3, Washington. Number 4, Florida State. Number 5, Oregon. Number 6, Ohio State. And number 7, Texas.
Vince, I'm going to be really simple about this one. That's my order right there.
Is it really?
1 to 7. That is my order. I mean, you could bicker about Georgia and Michigan. Sure. That is what it is at the end of the day. I think Washington deserves a spot in the top 4. And I think Florida State also deserves a spot in the top 4. I think all of the Power 5 undefeated teams having 1 through 4 being undefeated, that's enough for me. And then I guess if you want to argue about the order of Oregon, Ohio State, and Texas, that's fine too. But that'll ultimately take care of itself, right? Because if Oregon wins, they're going to jump Washington State. If Texas takes care of business against Oklahoma State and Florida State falls in the ACC championship, they're going to jump to the top 4 above Ohio State as well. So if you're Ohio State in this situation, you just have to do what you've been doing the last couple of years and hope everyone else loses.
Yeah, you got to hope for chaos. You got to, with them putting Ohio State at 6, you got to hope for a lot of chaos, right? I mean,
right.
That's the only way Ohio State's going to make it into the top 4. What do you think about Alabama being at 8? Like, if they beat Georgia in the SEC championship,
that's a whole lot of mess.
That's a lot of jump, though, too. And does Georgia fall out? Does Alabama jump up 5 spots to get to 4?
I think they have to, because if you're considering if Georgia really is the number 1 team in the country, and Alabama beats the number 1 team in the country, and they're only 3-4 spots away, how can you not make that leap? Because they supposedly just beat the best team in the country, right? And so I think that this is teed up nicely for Alabama for that reason. And so I think the question would become, like, if you have a 1-loss Texas and a 1-loss Alabama, you got to put 1-loss Texas in because they beat Alabama head-to-head during the season, right? And then I think the argument would become, well, those teams are completely different than when they played. Well, sure, that's fine, but they would both be conference champs. They both would have 1 loss, and they played head-to-head. So I think that the winner of the head-to-head would have to get in over the other team. So I'm okay with where this is at now. I think that it is set up nicely to allow the rest of the season to play out. I think at the end of the day, you're going to see Michigan is going to be the number 1. I think that number 2 is going to be Oregon after they beat Washington. And then I think 3 and 4 will be Texas and Alabama after they win their games as well. So my final 4 is Michigan, Oregon, Texas, and Alabama.
Wow. You're going all in with naming your 4, and you're basically coming up with the outcome of these games. So you're saying Alabama beats Georgia.
Yep. That gets them a spot. I don't know exactly where. I think Texas wins. That also gets them a spot. And then, like I said, I think that Oregon beats Washington as well. And so I think it's pretty easy at that point, because you'd have a bunch of 1-loss teams and everyone's going to jump Ohio State, and the teams that just won are going to obviously jump the teams that they just beat. And so I think Go ahead. I think Ohio State's going to be the first team out.
Well, the problem with Ohio State is they're going to have 1 loss, but they're not going to be a conference champion. And they're going to be competing against a bunch of 1-loss teams that are conference champions. I think that's going to be their biggest issue. And poor Florida State, they're going to end up being undefeated and get left out, which that's tough, man. That's a tough pill to swallow for me. That Florida State gets left out undefeated. I mean, I don't know. That's as an ACC championship, Power 5 champion, if they win, that's going to be tough, man. But if all 4 teams that are in the top 4 right now, if they all win, they're all in.
They're all in, yeah.
That's the easiest way to do it. So, yeah.
Do you think that there's the most controversy around Florida State because of the starting quarterback situation?
100%. If he was healthy, they're in. I mean, an undefeated Florida State is in if they have a healthy quarterback.
Yeah.
Right?
I think if Florida State wins the ACC championship, they still deserve to be in.
I do too. I think they absolutely deserve to be in. The argument against it is going to be, well, they're not really a top 4 team because of their quarterback situation.
Doesn't matter. They
won all their games.
They handled all the data points.
Right.
You can't knock a team for what you forecast is going to happen. You have to reward a team for what they have done.
I completely agree. And there's going to be
But I do think Florida State's going to lose, though. So
you think they're going to lose to Louisville?
I don't think it'll matter. Yeah, I got Louisville winning. Let's quickly, because I don't think I'll do it. I don't think I'm on the show tomorrow. Conference champions. I think Texas wins. I think Alabama wins. I think Oregon wins. I think Louisville wins. And then what's the last big one I'm missing? The 5.
Did you do Big 12?
Oh, Big 10. Michigan's going to beat
10.
Iowa.
Well, yeah. I mean, even the Iowa coach is like, yeah, it'd be pretty funny if we won. He had some sort of a quote like that. It's like, I think it'd be funny if we won.
Have you seen all the betting lines of over under 0.5 points scored by Iowa in each half?
Are you serious?
Yeah, and it's plus money, so it's actually an underdog that they're actually going to even score.
Man. Man, well, it's going to be a fun weekend of football, that's for sure, and we'll all be watching with bated breath. And it's kind of nice when Notre Dame doesn't have a game because we can all just sit back and watch other games, man. And I do enjoy that. I purposely chose the morning. I have to cover girls wrestling on Saturday morning, but I'm done at noon, so I'm getting back just in time for football. So I've got my whole Saturday planned out. It's going to be fantastic. So, all right, so that's going to do it for this edition of IB Nation Sports Talk, folks. Make sure that you join us tomorrow. I know that Brian's going to have a show around 1 o'clock, and then, of course, Sean and I will be back tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. This is Jesse's one and only visit to the IB Nation Sports Talk room, giving Jesse some much-needed time off. And, so we're going to be back tomorrow at 6. I'm sure more dominoes are going to fall between now and then because why wouldn't it? Somebody else is going to hit the transfer portal. Some other news is going to break. That's what's going to happen. So, we're here for it, guys. We are here for you. So make sure you join us at Irish Breakdown. Check out the podcast. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell. All of those fun things so that you can stay up to date and join the message board, folks. There's lots of intel that we weren't really sharing with you on purpose tonight that's over on the message board. So make sure you check it out.
Just don't all go at one time.
Yeah, this is true. Don't all go at once, but sign up for the message board and because it's not working for me right now either. So, check it out. There's going to be all kinds of intel over there. And guys, these are the weeks, man. Like this is the intel weeks. So it's gonna be stuff. I'm telling you, there's gonna be stuff. So, all right, everybody, have a wonderful rest of your evening. For Jesse, I'm Vince. We will talk to you next time on the Irish Breakdown Podcast.